Hello. So we are going to continue on with our work in patterns, and we are going to be looking today at page 237, question 3. So my colors on my machine are different to the question, but I have kept consistent with the question other than that. So in question 3 we can, on page 237, we can see a situation that looks like this, and we are asked to draw in our table. It also asked you to draw the fourth shape, but you will be able to do that yourselves. The table we have, what is marked as yellow in your book I have written in blue. What is marked as blue in your book I have written in red, and I will keep those colors as I'm reading out the question. So in stage 1, this is stage 1, we have one blue box and we have 6 red boxes. So let's look at what the blues do each time. We have one box in the first stage, we have 2 blue boxes in the second stage, and we have 3 blue boxes in the third stage. If that pattern was to continue, then we'd have 4 blue boxes in the fourth stage and 5 blue boxes in the fifth stage. Hopefully everybody is happy with that argument there. Now if we look at our red boxes, we start out in stage 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. So we have 6 boxes in stage 1, 6 red boxes in stage 1. In stage 2 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 red boxes in stage 2. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 red boxes in stage 3. Now what are we doing each time? We're adding on 4 extra boxes. We added on a box here, a box here, a box here, and a box here. And likewise we added on 2 boxes on each end, so a total of 4 extra red boxes each time. So that is the situation that we've got for the red boxes and the blue boxes. Now in part 3 we're asked describe in words the number of blue boxes is growing. So the number of our blue boxes is growing. Well, we're going to start with 1 blue box in stage 1, and each time we get 1 more blue box. So we start at 1 and we add 1 each time. In part 4 it asks us for the same thing for our red boxes. How are they changing each time? So we start with 6 boxes at the beginning and we add 4 each time. That is our work for part 3 and part 4, and now we get into new stuff. So we've already done everything, we've already done this type of work already. Now we're getting into what's new, and you can see this thing up here is effectively what's new. So we're asked to describe, to write down the relationship between the stage number and the number of blue squares in each stage of the pattern. And again, I have changed yellow to blue here. So we're looking for describing this relationship mathematically. When they ask you to do that, it means you have to use this formula. Now I know this looks totally alien at the moment. It's going to make sense in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is start by writing down this list. So for my blue boxes, I'm working on part 5 now, part V. So for my blue boxes, I have 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and 5. Before we looked at how we got between our numbers, and we already described this in English, we start at 1 and we're adding 1 each time. Now, the number we start with, we're going to call A. Now we're going to do the same thing for this type of pattern every time, so you'll get used to what our letters mean. So A is the first number in our pattern. Just like A is the first letter in the alphabet, A is the first number in our pattern. And then the difference between each one of our numbers in our list, in our sequence, is called D. D for difference. And in this case, that's plus 1. We're adding on 1 each time. Effectively, all I've done is write a little bit more mathematically what I've written here. I start at 1, A is my start number, and it's 1, and I'm adding on 1 each time. I'm adding on 1 each time. The difference between each number is adding 1. Now, if I write down my term numbers, so I've talked to you about terms before. This is our first term, this is our second term, this is our third term, our fourth term, our fifth term. So we've talked about these terms before. Now, if I wanted to know what a particular term was in my list, I'd call it Tn. So n is just one of the numbers in my list. We've talked about something similar to this previously. So n could be 1, or it could be 2, or it could be 3. So you can see now we're touching on algebra. N could stand in for lots of different numbers, and we can see Tn is what we have up here. So what this equation gives us is a way of finding out the pattern. Writing, this is it written in English. This is the formula that's going to allow us to write out the pattern mathematically. So let's have a look at using that. So Tn is any term that we like in our list. So it could be T1, it could be the first term, the second term, the third term, it doesn't matter. Is going to be A, which we found to be 1, plus n minus 1 in brackets, multiplied by, sorry, I've subbed in something, so I should put it in brackets. D is 1. So I have Tn is equal to 1. I multiply out my brackets here, and I remember how to do that. I have a number outside the bracket. I multiply it by each thing inside the bracket, and I get plus 1 minus 1. Tn is equal to 1 minus 1 is, or let's group my terms together. So I group my like terms together, and I have 1 minus 1 is 0, and I'm left with Tn is equal to n. What does that mean? It means if I have a particular term, if I have a particular number in my list, it's going to be equal to my term number. And I can actually see that here. So T1 is 1, T2 is 2, the second term is 2, the third term is 3, the fourth term is 4. So my term number is the same as the number in my list. Now that obviously isn't always going to be true. Let's have a look at part VI and see if we can follow the same steps. So I'm now looking at the pattern in my red boxes. And what's that going to be? I'm going to have 6, and then 10, and then 14, and then 18, and then 22. Well, my first term now is 6. A is 6. A is my first term. And my difference between each of the terms, I already know, is plus 4, because I already wrote this out in English here. So I'm adding 4 each time, so my difference is plus 4. And I want to know what my general relationship is, what my relationship is between the terms and the numbers in my list. So this is the first term, the second term, the third term, the fourth term, and the fifth term. And this pattern would keep going. So let's see if we can find Tn. Tn is going to equal A plus n minus 1 on D. Tn, I know what A is, it's 6 plus n minus 1 on 4. I multiply out my bracket and I get 6. And I'm going to multiply what's outside the bracket by each thing inside. So I get plus 4n minus 4. I'm going to group my like terms. I get Tn is equal to 4n plus 6 minus 4 is equal to Tn is equal to 4n minus, or sorry, plus 2. Now this is an equation that will give me any number in this list that I want. If I wanted to know if I was in the 100th stage, how many of my red boxes would there be in that picture? I'd put in T100 would be equal to 4 by 100. N is 100, so I sub it in brackets. And that would be 400 plus 2 would be 402. And that is how I can use my formula here to find out the number of boxes in any stage in my pattern. And that's the formula we need to be able to use any time that they ask you for the relationship between a stage and a number of objects. And that's what we need to be able to do for now.